Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Incarceration to Incorporation. I want you to know that we are excited that you're here joining us again for Ink to Ink, Incarceration to Incorporation. We are here tonight and we got a guest that's getting ready to come on. But before our guest come on, I just want to first welcome you. Second, I want you to hit that share button. I want you to let others know what we are doing here on Ink to Ink. Each Friday from 6 to 7, we give our returning citizens a platform to share their stories. Why? Because their stories are important. Their stories are healing for many of our souls that sometimes are brought down or burdened down by the weight of what's going on around us. So if you would, please join us and then hit that share button. Why? Because what we want to do is change the narrative. What do I mean when I say change the narrative? Well, I'm glad you asked. Changing the narrative gives the community an opportunity to recognize that we are not just getting out of prison and going right back the revolving door, if you will. But when I say changing the narrative, what I'm saying is we are successful. Men and women that are returning home are successful, whether they are successful in their business, in their organizations, in their occupations, in their relationships. We are successful. And the world needs to know how successful we really are. So, if you will, the only way they're going to know that by you sharing, hitting that share button and allowing them to know, listen, from 6 to 7, you need to listen to 8 to 8 because their stories will encourage you. Believe me, not just their story, but your story also. Your story can encourage those that are around you. Because if you feel like you're the only one going through what you're going through, when you hear the story of somebody else going through the same thing, but they are successful, they are succeeding, they are doing good, it encourages you. It gives you a pep in your step. It allows you to lift your head up and stick your chest out. So that's why we do what we do. We provide this stage, this platform for returning citizens, whether they were locked up 20 years ago or 20 days ago. Not only returning citizens, but we provide a platform for relatives of returning citizens because we're not the only one that did that time. Our parents, siblings, spouse, all they did that time with us, and they deserve a platform to hear their story, to share how they went through this same ordeal with us. And then lastly, we also give this platform to resources because we need you to know that there are those out there that are trying to come to your rescue. There are those out there that have, whether it's employment, whether it's clothing, whether it's whatever we can find, there are resources out there for you. So, again, when we come on Fridays from 6 to 7, 8 to 8, tell somebody, share that story, hit that button so that you too can be a part of letting people know that the narrative has changed. So, thank you for joining us. What's up? What's up, Julius?
Ain't nothing to you said it all. I don't need to say too much. It seems like you said it all. You took the words out of my mouth. So without further ado, we just want to tell everybody you're absolutely correct. Just share this show. We want to show people that there is hope after no hope. And that you can get that right here. You can go anywhere from where you are. All you have to do is be focused and determined to get there, and you can get there. There's nothing that you can't do. We got a young lady that's coming on, Miss Shannon Smith, and she'll be sharing her story tonight and telling you just what she did, how she educated herself while being locked up, how what her journey is now. It's a motivational dialogue that we'll have in this inspirational also, and this is a platform for resources. This is a platform for the next step. So without further ado, we're gonna bring Miss Shannon on so she can tell her story and y'all can get it on.
While you're bringing her home, Julius, I'm looking on Facebook because I want to make sure everybody knows how we are on media, Facebook platform, YouTube platform, and also 95, I believe it is, point 5 Jessup. But I'm looking on Facebook to see, and I don't see that it has come up. Look at yours to make sure that,
Yeah, it's on. It's on.
okay, good, good.
It's on.
All right, I just wanted to make
It's
sure.
on. It's just sometimes your feed is a little slow, but it's on.
Gotcha, okay. So,
Mhm.
good evening, young lady. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Hey, good evening.
All right. So what we're going to do, we finally got you back. I apologize for last week. There were some technical difficulties, but we believe that your story was number one important, but also the way you articulate yourself. I believe that you really needed to come back and get this time and this space for you to share your story. Now, what I want to do is I want to help, and Julius is going to go along with us. I want you to share because you have two stories that blend into one. One is the time that you spent incarcerated and your quest for education. Then, number two, I want you to segue or transition into your reentry at home now and how the reentry world has either A, been there as a positive or a negative for you. Was it difficult? Your transition smooth? And so I want you to share that with our audience as well. And Julius and I will just step in from time to time to help narrate your story. But at the beginning, right now, tell us, who are you and what is your relationship to incarceration?
Hi, everyone. I'm Shannon Smith, and I served 25 years in prison, and I just returned to society a year ago. And you were asking about my hunger for education. Well, it started with this narrative that kept trying to shove down that we were menace to society because you were convicted. And I know in my case, I wasn't there. So why they keep telling me that? How can I make myself better? How can I build myself in this environment? How can I make my children proud of me? So at the onset of my sentence, I constantly tried to obtain something. I did a lot of reading. I got a lot of OJT. And then finally, I got a degree in graphic arts design. It was before I had my GED. And that ignited a fire in me. Like I wanted to learn more, do more. And from that point, got my GED. I got 1,000 hours OJT. I began to train people. And that kept me from going crazy in prison. Prison is a very diabolical place. You know, socially outside, people have thought it was the just do for people who have broke laws, never understanding the eternal working of what's going on inside to their loved ones. So education saved me, reading saved me, helped keep my sanity. You know, I do have two associate's degrees, but they came later in my sentence. It all started with graphic arts design. So about 11 years ago, I started going to these classes called Reforming Arts. And in those classes, um, around 10 years, but 6 years in, I did my cornerstone and I received my associates in women in film, um, American identity, and devised theater. So during that time, Life University was doing an experiment. They wanted to educate people. It was an experiment. It was a grant. I'm being real. On psychology and sociology with the idea that if we took this information, we digest it, we would go back, share it with the dorm, kind of change the social dynamics in prison. But what happened was like phenomenal. You had 10 black female in graduating with summa cum laude. So we became the rock stars of Life University. And one was cum, no, and two were cum laude, which was just, they had to be average, their entire associates. So that was the first aha moment for Life University to say there's something going on. For me, I began to analyze my environment, my social disposition, and I learned about the black condition. I've been black all my life. I didn't know that they had something read up about the black condition, and that's connected with oppressive systems. There's this contract that people are born to in society I never knew about, and this is real, and it governs people's lives, and it leads to different paths that doesn't lead to the path of upward mobility. And when I won my scholarship for my associates, they were like, "What would you do with your education?" I said, "I wanted to be a voice for people like myself who don't have an opportunity to get this chance, because only 15 people could be in that class, and we lost 5 of those people within the 2.5 years. And I wanted, and here I am today, speaking for the people behind the wall, trying to help families and societies and communities to better understand what is happening inside of the walls, what is needed, and how deeply impacted people are when they've been disempowered in a system of perpetual property.
Wow, that is a lot of people in prison. And the reason, and I can speak from that because I just did 26 years myself. So a lot of people in prison, I know during the time that I was there, were not um, excited or hungry for education. But I see now that those who have been and they have come back to society, re-entered society, that it has helped, quote unquote, to sell themselves. And so, as you learn that, I don't know if you know statistics, but what is the statistics of those that are incarcerated that do not have aspiration for education or a GED?
So I would like to say culpability and capability is really important in this question. Some people are not capable. We must understand that some people are not capable, and the stress level is times 10, which you already know. So if you are incapable to comprehend the environment around you or to go get your GED, and everyone becomes complacent. The teacher becomes complacent. They just let them sit at the desk. The person becomes complacent because there's no upward motion with their education. Some people have learning disabilities. Some people are mental health. So we can't cram all of those people in the box and say, this is why they're not doing it. They don't want to do it. We have to treat each person as if they're an individual with their individual issues. So some people work and work for them. There are people who came in with an education but had to do a detail. There are people who could not learn or could not speak English. I learned how to speak Spanish in prison. And some of my friends learned how to speak English. And those are the people who had that push, that desire to do something different. But it doesn't make the other people who could not or did not any less. But it definitely will predict how they will survive or not when they go home. We
Okay.
have to honor the fact that some people don't have that drive, but we cannot leave them behind because they ain't read. Reading saved my life. But to someone who cannot read and has been struggling with not reading all their life, reading is a punishment. If someone has not taught them how to read, it's so thick, it's so rich. We can never lump any of the things that we're talking about in one category because that's not real.
Right, right. So, tell us basically the degrees that you got while you were incarcerated.
So, as you heard, the first ones were American Identity, Women in Film, and Devised Theater. I have my associates in positive human development and social change from Life University, which I am presently in my bachelor's in science, which is a continuation. Life University is a holistic college, so it was about my psychology, learning, and sociology. And let me explain for people. Psychology is the study of people behavior and try to understand why they do what they do. Sociology is the study of a group of people behaviors who are affected by social issues. And what life has put into place is to figure out how can we help people to flourish. Instead of take this one little book that has been socially tampered with and define them as a problem and give them medication and call it the end of the day.
Oh, that's so real because I've learned that there are three types of target groups that are incarcerated and that which perpetuates mass incarceration: substance abuse, mental health, and then also recidivists. And so you are absolutely right about that. So help me as we transition to the outside, as you are re-entering society. Was the education helpful in you selling yourself? Was your transition smooth or difficult, and why?
My transition was a mixture of most, but mostly it was a challenge. When I came home, I went to the TC at Metro. When I came home, I had a job as an operation associate for Reforming Arts, which we pretty much did podcasts and Zooms where we talked about the inside mental health instability, or that 44% of most of the population is mental health and not criminally bad people, but they cut off the hospitals where the mental health people could go. That's a dirty game. So you got a level 4 person who's been abused and hearing voices, who take a little medicine for 3 or 4 months. They drop them down to a level 3. They go to a one-man room. They drop them down to a level 2. And now there's somebody bunkmate who doesn't know that the person is still a level 4. And so now you're housemate to someone who could physically harm you. And that dynamic is so toxic and it hurts. So this was a higher ed program that was supposed to help the women who had taken any kind of college courses, specifically those of reforming arts, and to help them continue with their education. And it was for women because what I learned in college was that there's little to no information about women in prison, their experiences, A lot of women in prison are still being governed under men ideology with their toughness. I've seen things that you would not believe if you did not see them yourself. And they don't have a guideline with how we treat women. And as I'm aware of, Pulaski is the only women's prison that was made for women. All the other prisons that are occupied with women were made for men. And for whatever reason, the men got moved out and the women got put in, but the officers stayed with that same male treatment mentality. So there's a lot of mental abuse and disempowerment that still goes on.
Let
Um,
me say something right there because I think that was, I know we're transitioning, but I need to back up for a moment because, I was talking to a friend of mine and he thought that a lot of the times we deal mostly with what's going on outside of prison. And granted, that's what the show is, ink to ink, incarceration to incorporation. But I believe that we need, what you just said was so profound that we need to speak to that. There are a lot of relatives, community. There are a lot of relatives of returning citizens that have no clue what their loved ones are enduring on the inside. I myself knew of stories where men, I don't know the women's aspect, but where men were housed with other mentally unstable men that they did not know anything about, and they just snapped and hit them. So that's just one aspect of the prison system. There needs to be a revamping or reforming of our prison system. Why did I say that? Because community, the community needs to know what's going on behind the walls. So often they want to keep cameras, corrections out of the prison system. Uh, why is that, first of all? But I think that that was very important. What you said, the community needs to know what's going on behind the bars. And also, when incarceration started, actually, I think if I'm not mistaken, one of the first penitentiaries was started by a church, a minister, for not punitive issues, but for rehabilitation issues. Now we know that it has moved far from its original inception. But I just thought that that was something that needed to be said. Community, people, relatives, find out what's going on with your loved ones behind the door. Marlon Tree is watching, and good evening, brother. Shayna Houston, she's also watching as well. What's up, cuz? Donnie Black, he says awesome information, y'all. And we also have Sir Deepy Frazier join us as well. But I apologize for just inserting that. Go ahead, Shannon.
so let me say, from my understanding, that we need to know that prison is doing what it's supposed to do. You have to understand the first job of the police was to retrieve stolen property, and that was slaves. So we can't expect them to rehabilitate. And I think it was the Amish with the idea of sitting at certain times and you sit in prayer and you sit and think. That was the Amish idea. But it was always about taking marginalized people, criminalizing their entire life, putting them in a place where they are in this dichotomized system where they are disempowered and forcing them to in labor. We have to understand that. So it's no surprise to me that there's only one female prison that was designed for women, and the other four are just old men prisons with the same men guards. There's no surprise to me. There's not a lot of information about the lived experience of women in prison. And you have to understand this shroud of mystery that they keep it around because this stuff's been working. They mean to mess with your mind. You can't be disempowered and in province and then that is rehabilitating. That makes you a servant or subservient. They push it in you day and night. You cannot have a mind and speak and say, hey, this is not right, because then you become a troublemaker. They keep chaos going on within the system because then you can't have time to think and do better. So unless you check out and you read or you find something that occupies your mind instead of your social environment in prison, you're going to go with the tide. And that's what they need you to do as you serve your time. Every day is some kind of mix up to keep you busy so you can't think autonomously Be your own person and plan for a better life than this one.
So you have to really struggle to get your rehabilitation.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
If
what
we
it's.
call it rehabilitation, because we have to understand the systems that are in place. Everyone is born into a contract. Very few know that they are, unless they break the law. So
Well,
this
we know that
contract
it's
says
not.
these.
We know that it's not rehabilitation anymore anyway because they're no longer blatant with it. The name change. Uh,
I don't
Department.
think that it ever was. I just think social media, people coming out, being vocal, programs like what you guys are doing, helping people starting to talk and say, hey, it wasn't right for me either. Oh, I seen what they did so and so. So that has brought out what has always been. So that's why we need the community to chip in, the families to be connected with their loved ones.
Right.
Because they're in an environment, it's a demi society that's been turned down by need, need, need. They're not going to get enough food in that dining hall. That's currency. That's money. If you can make a sandwich in there and sell it, then that's $1 because you're not going to get all the ingredients that you need when you go to the dining hall. It's constantly to keep you turning.
See, I like that too. So transition. Now you're out, reentry, and if I'm not mistaken, you were working with reentry before you came out, and you just followed that. But and also incidentally, that if I'm not mistaken, correct me, that women are going to prison by and large a little more than men. That population has exploded as well. But help me as you transition back to society. Has it been difficult?
After I left Reform and Arts, of course, there's no program for women who've done as much time as I have with any kind of education to help you get housing. You're on your own, kids. You've got to figure out your life. I had to figure out my life. Every day is a figuring out my life. My education with positive human development actually saves me. It saves me, it helps me to analyze my situation, how I need to move forward, who I need to cut out of my life. Because everybody will come with the same game, but would not have good intention. That's real. And I've been gone from the world 25 years. And I had this grand idea of being a voice for the people. And I have been advocating for women in prison and marginalized communities at different platforms. But it's been a hodgepodge of my efforts, not people reaching out to me to say, hey, we would like for you to talk on this thing, come to this place. It's me finding groups and trying to put this input in so I can share this information with the community so they can better understand their loved ones in prison, or they can better understand the social systems that lead the pipeline from school to prison. That's real. And that is mixed with a lot of oppressive ideologies that supports that. They're watching certain kids. And if they behave a certain way, they put them in juvenile, the side school, alternative school. They send them in alternative school, but it starts their record. So then, and if they were to get into a fight to defend themselves, now they got aggravated assault. It changes the narrative of this kid. So instead of saying, maybe you should go to juvenile detention, they're going to send them to prison and try to give them adult charges, and they were defending themselves. So we have to stop those narratives. We have to stop allowing schools sending children to prison, which is a nightmare for a grown person, much less a 17, 16-year-old child going with these adults who've been bent by life. We have to reach in and get our children before they get there and support our people when they come back home. Because many will never understand that trip either way if they've never experienced. But you notice a lot of people want to judge and say, well, they just don't want to do this. You've got to find out, what is this person's motivation? What's going on with this person that they're not doing it? And there's the always person that if you don't do what I tell you to do, you're wrong and you're going to go astray. We cannot be that to a people who we know have been abused because of the system, because we've all experienced it to one degree or another. It's about understanding the people who are coming home.
So your
And so I
atmosphere where you are now, you're in Atlanta, correct?
just saying,
What is the atmosphere of Atlanta as it relates to returning citizens?
I think I think there are opportunities. It's the job of finding them. But there's also the struggle of finding housing and a job, maintaining a job to pay your bills. As I said in the last podcast, I learned a person who is devoid of food, shelter, clothing, or respect, their positive human development, their idea of community is gone. It's disrupted. It's all about survival. And survival brain isn't thinking about help anybody. Survival brain is thinking about saving self, you know. So we have to understand that. For me, it's just been from me moving into better environments that were conducive to me continuing my education and finding a job and building a life that I love to live. I deserved it after 25 years.
Right, right.
You know, and I have to love me enough to say that while at the same time speak for people who cannot speak. You know, help people to better understand these loved ones who return home or their kid who is possibly facing something that is bigger than life bad. We have to do our part. You know, we cannot turn our back. I used to tell my professor that people who are experiencing a better part of life don't understand the importance for the people who are not to get a better part of the life, because those are the people that steal your stuff. So if they're suffering and we perpetuate the suffering and we act like we don't care about it, them the people that come back and steal stuff. It's not about right or wrong. It's about real. So the better we support our community and our people, then they won't want to steal. They're not innately born saying, yeah, I'll be a thief when I grow up.
Right.
They're not born that way.
I think that we would be remiss if we don't share that there are those that are trying to assist us. There are reentry organizations that are real. There are returning citizens who have organizations that are trying to provide platforms to change the narrative. I asked you about Atlanta's culture, but let me speak a little bit about Savannah's culture. Since I've been home these nearly 3 years now, when I first came home, like you, I was looking, searching for those organizations that would help me to be a better me. Now, my reality was different. It's not the reality of everyone else. I had family support. I had gainful employment. I had community support and faith-based organizations that were there to assist me. But I still could not find how to connect those dots. When I did the TED Talk, I spoke about an analogy of if we could just hold hands sooner, we would have saved many that have fallen through the cracks. But lately, I have found here in the Savannah culture opportunities, organizations, nonprofits that are reaching out, trying to provide resources for men and women who are coming home, and not just men and women. Even as we speak to the prison to school pipeline, I mean, excuse me, the school to prison pipeline. You know, I work for an organization called Deep, where we are directly involved with trying to break that cycle and stop young people from going to jail, juvenile, and things of that sort. So I wanted to just speak. I think I'll be here all day if I were to bring up name after name. But to those of you who are sounding the alarm, to those of you who are that resource, to those of you relatives that are there helping as it relates to your loved ones in prison, kudos and thanks and praise to you. But those that are not, that's where I want you to speak, Shannon. What can we do? We've talked about the problem. Now, how can we strategically, how can we strategically or be practical about the solution?
Okay, I want to say this. There are organizations in Atlanta. I haven't been elbow to elbow with them. I understand that there are a lot of them. The problem is there's not enough because they're taking care of the people that they have. And because they were filled helping the people that they were helping, a lot of people are being left in cracks. And again, I do reiterate, there's little to no help for a woman returning. That has been my experience. If I didn't have the family connection, my parents had passed away before I went. So there are people like me whose social disposition, you got to come and get it out the mud, so to speak. There's a friend of mine who I encouraged to continue to go to college, but she shared the same social circumstances, and her family rejected her because she had been incarcerated. I've got sisters who I've are part of the cohort that I was in, they're doing great and they're helping people. So we do have that. But I'm speaking to the part of the community that we need to make a bigger circle around our people so there is help everywhere because they're going to be full. You know, COVID took up a lot of space for people who were helping people. So it became all about them. I came home in the middle of that pandemic. So a lot of resources that could have been available for me, I couldn't get to because it was drained from helping other people who were in need. You know, it's not to put nobody down. It's just it's a call to the community that we need to reach out and help each other. This is how we survive as a people. This is how we build back our community to acknowledge that there is this need and to say, well, no, she's wrong, but no, what can we do? Because I do what I can every chance that I can because this is my give back to society. This is my give back to my sisters and brothers that are coming home is speaking about this need so that we can get more people to align together to help.
Especially the faith-based community. I believe, as a man of faith, I believe it is our responsibility to see the need and to be, if you will, the point man. So ministers, those of you churches that are watching, and I see you, Linda Curtis, and I see you, Wade. Absolutely, this is good. I believe that the church should sound the alarm because there are chaplains in every institution. The chaplains, I believe that they should be able to be intentional about knowing who is getting ready to get out and relay that information to the faith-based community so that when a brother or a sister comes home, they will not come home alone. So I want to, those of you that are out there, share this message that Shannon is speaking about, especially for women. I did not know that. I did not know that for women that are coming home, they have little to no assistance. So if there are some organizations, nonprofit, charitable, faith-based, if you are out there and you are doing these things, please make your voice known. And if we can help do that by providing a platform for you, by all means, send word to us so that we can get you on this media platform, ATR, All Things Relevant Media, and allow you to get this word out. How are you doing now, Shannon?
I mean, I've learned to normalize working, taking care of myself. I had to take a break from my bachelor so I could work and pay the bills. I'm in a shared living situation right now, which to me is one step from being homeless because you can't pay rent, you can't stay. I'm working a job as a I'm working a job as a maid instead of a scholar who's got information to help share. And I want to say this the people who are in Atlanta and everywhere, we know that a lot of people that are helping are depleted or ran out of space. We need more community spaces, more community people to reach out to our people. We need that.
And that's what's so important about connecting the dots. We just this is what this whole month, whole last month, what Julius was doing was connecting the dots. We're trying to get these resources in line because with what you've went through and what you're doing with the education that you have obtained, you need to be in a field where you can help people more. You need to be where you can mentor that young lady who might be ready to join the gang because they got the girls' gangs out there just as worse as the boys, and
Mhm.
and so part of connecting the dots is getting people such as yourself with that education, with this know-how, that experience from knowing the system to keep these young women motivated enough not to go in the system. You're a
Yes.
valuable asset to this community now because
Thank
it's just not academia. You have the experience of being hands on, and I tell people that all the time. Every time they want to hire these people, they hire somebody who who just got the book knowledge and don't have the heart to really be in it. to want to save somebody, to really want to do it. They're doing it for a paycheck. But in your position, you would be doing it because you need the job for one. You got the education and you care because you saw what you just left. And that's Julie. We're working as hard as we can. Everything takes time. Connecting these dots take a while. You know,
Right.
the system is not geared for us to make it. It's not rehabilitation. You're exactly right. That's what they call it. So that's what we call it. And it's not geared toward that. And we have to be 5 times better than the average person once we get home.
True, true. And
You
I
know,
want to ask a question right there too. Tisha Fulton, I see you watching, and Linda Curtis. Thank you again for encouraging us on. Shannon, who do you speak to? Because I know that there needs to be continual encouragement. As we stated at the onset of the broadcast, when you come home, you meaning us as returning citizens, we feel like we are in this thing by ourselves, that nobody knows what I'm going through. I know you're not in that because of your strength as a woman, but who do you talk to that you allow them to feed you? I know so often we are feeding others and not allowing someone to feed into us strength. Do you have someone or organization or a group that helps to encourage you?
At the present moment, it has been actually my God who has been the motivating force to push me to go to work, to seek things. Because with my kids, they didn't have their mom for 25 years, and they've had so many negative narratives to define who I am instead of finding out who I am. So it's just been my guy who's been there saying, no, you don't give up, you move forward, you got to keep, building your money, saving your money. That has been a support system. When I'm gonna be honest, I went to therapy for PTSD, and I woke up one day and I'm giving therapy to the therapist, and I don't know how that happened because I came for help. I was real upset, and I'm in groups with people, and I'm watching this. Another therapist are telling people who don't have a clue, we're gonna sit here for 10 minutes and listen to this music and relax, not explaining why they're doing this. And I'm like, oh my God, and these are for people who were just homeless, and there was no program that I could get in until someone cares, and they weren't prepared for the people they had with some of the people that was teaching there. We have got to build something for our people. These are human beings, citizens that are returning home to what? I was like, I can't believe this. And she would tell me her business, and I love her to death, but I didn't come there to listen to her business. I'm not even a nosy person. I needed help with my PTSD, my adjustment to this world out here.
Right, right. That was funny to me because you prepared yourself for this. And I'm encouraging you that because you prepared yourself for this, doors are going to open, and you will be ready for those doors when they do open. And you're here in Savannah. You got the ear of some brothers, and we are trying all the way here from Savannah to try to connect those dots. Whether it's in Atlanta or Alabama or Virginia, we are going to do our part. Those of you who are listening, help us connect these dots for Shannon, and not just Shannon, but for other men and women who are coming home because 20 years, 15 years, 10 years is a long time to be away from society. And now you're starting all over again. We need assistance. And I like to say often, I say, we may have started out wrong, but we can all finish strong. And that's where you are now, Shannon. You are on the road to finishing strong. And I just want you to know that you're not in this alone, that you are going to make it. We've been talking for these last couple of weeks, Julius, faith and education all plays a part in our success. For me, it has played a huge part, and I know it has for you too, Julius. as well. And it will for you too, Shannon, continue to be grounded in your faith, and also as your education, it will begin to open doors for you.
Yeah, don't give up, Shannon. Your better is just around the corner. So all you gotta do is hang in there. Is somebody watching? Is somebody watching you? Is friends that you have will elevate you up to the next level. Just persevere. Just keep the pressure on. Keep doing what you're doing, and God is able when the devil is busy.
I
So
know.
so
I
just keep
want you
up.
guys to know I love God so dearly. And it's my love of God and my understanding of God that we go through these processes.
Hmm.
All of them not going to be easy. And, I'm here for the people that can't speak because I work on Shannon and I trust in God every day. It's not the life that I love right now. And I do understand it won't always be this way. I need help and connect, yes, but this is part of the process, part of the plan. But I'm here talking to y'all today is for my sisters and brothers who cannot speak, who do need help, who've been to programs that were either full and tonight they're going to be homeless,
Right.
or they didn't have their identification and they don't have a job. They can't talk to you tonight. I've seen them on my journey. I've seen people suffer. I've had friends to call me from when I used to work at my old job saying, I got to find somewhere to stay. And I felt sad because I didn't have nowhere to give them.
Right.
So this is, for them. These are for my friends that don't have no help and they've been trying. When I was in the halfway house, it was a lifer. She was calling me at the halfway house and she was living out her card, and it just blew my mind. I didn't know what was waiting for me. Like the first time I seen a cell phone was last year, and everybody was like, "Girl, dial this." I was like, "What? Take the picture." I'm like, "Who?" And they never, because I function and I communicate, but they didn't understand. I never had one.
Hmm.
So it's for those people that can't talk tonight. They can't express that they need help. We need our community. We need
What
people to
about
understand.
what about those organizations that we've talked about, like um, there's a Fender Alumni Association in Atlanta, and there's also City of Refuge. And hold on, just 1 second. We have a note here. Uh, Tisha Fulton says, Shannon, keep your faith, and things will change in your life as you grow. Linda Curtis said, it's already done. The power of your words. Trust the process. And
Yeah.
she says, I can relate. And she's glad that you are speaking for other women. But have you been in contact with those organizations, City of Refuge, Offender Alumni
I
Association?
have been I have been speaking to Mr. Gregg at the City of Refuge. Unfortunately, work has been getting in the way of me getting there. So I'm definitely going to go there when I get an off day. That's the one thing about work for somebody else. You can't tell them, well, boo, I ain't coming in today because I just started. Maybe if I had been there for a while and I'd be like, hey, I got to take this Tuesday off and go to this meeting and do this thing that is detrimental to my life. But right now, it's like, no, you need to be at work. And you don't say, well, I quit, because it's a temporary job. It's not a forever job. It's not even a long job. It's temporary, but it's a necessity for the present moment to maintain my living
Right.
until I make better connections, better job, better money. I was really impressed when I spoke to Mr. Gregg at all the things that he has available. So I'm really hungry to get there. And I'm trying to fight so I can get this Tuesday so we can connect in person, because he's offered me different opportunities that I just can't break away from this place. I just paid rent. I got paid $679, and that was not my full pay. And they always had a problem with something. My rent was 600. So you
Right.
have to keep working.
Right, right. I do. And maybe I need to reach out to Greg to see if we can have him to come to you, or something of that effect. I do know there are those in Offender Alumni Association in Atlanta, Miss Deborah Daniels, Miss Danielle Wiley. There are a number of women that I know that this week I will have them to contact you, so that we can start making some connections for you, because I, like Julius, believe that networking is your net worth. I've heard that so often, and so I want to see if we can help. I see. What's up, Paul? Paul Bowman, a lovely, awesome brother, is watching, and I know he has a church, a group of women at that organization. They may be able to reach out to you as it relates to encouragement as well. But for those that are watching, we want to help those that don't have the voice, and that's what Shannon is doing. Women are returning home from incarceration, and they don't have any programs or resources by and large that's there to assist them. So as we get ready to transition, as we come to our conclusion, speak right now, um, Shannon. Speak to the audience. You know, you have three target groups here. You have the community who needs to hear our plea and your passion, but we also have those that are still incarcerated that need a word of encouragement that they too can make it, and to keep progressively preparing themselves for when the door does open. But you're also speaking to those returning citizens who are home and are struggling to make it. The floor is yours. Talk to us.
So I want to share something that keeps me going. The only way you fail is when you stop trying. Some days you have to take steps instead of leaps and bounds, and it's okay because it's progress. You never stop looking, but the greatest information, when you run into people, the wrong turn, you turn around, you know that's not for you, you move forward. God is in every situation that you're in. He's just waiting for you to reach for him. I believe that. And I reach for him when I can't do nothing else. But I'm stubborn, so I keep moving forward. I don't know how to lay down. You got to keep moving forward. You got to love you. You've got to love you. In our community, we need to help people. I'm doing my part, and it gets better. It gets greater later. I'm going to always speak for my sisters and brothers that are behind bars and that are returning. And my marginalized community, I'm a marginalized person, so it's doubly so. It is hard to be a black woman in America with an education and a returning citizen. You got to mix it up, but you got to keep in the fight. You got to stay in the fight because you're fighting for your life. And you're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days, but it's okay because it's part of the process. You can't get stuck at one part of the process. This is so horrible. I have those days, but I remind myself to keep moving.
That's right.
Even when I want to give up. That's just part of the process. I think of it like a kid. When a baby start walking, it don't fall down and say, I ain't never doing that no more. That almost broke my pimple. You know? They get back up. They climb up on something else. And they walk they keep trying until they walk. Bust their head, bust their teeth, but they keep walking. And we have to take that mentality. You keep moving forward. I didn't know nothing. Today is my second time speaking with you guys. That is a God thing. God is moving in my favor. My guy is very motivated and understanding and supportive and pushing me to stay focused on my dream. You know, things that you guys don't know. I'm an artist. Well, Julius, you know. I'm an artist, and I've written books and did cartoons talking about prison. And, you know, my next venture coming soon is to put some of my art on T-shirt, and also to have some saying to remind people about the people left behind the wall.
I like
You know,
that.
God is here. You can't keep looking at the bad people. You got to understand this. Gravity never slips up. That's God. People don't even pray for air, but you breathe. That's God. These are the two things you cannot live without. You can go a little while without water. You can go a little while without food, but with gravity and air, you cannot go out, and that is God. Whenever you forget, that is God. And I don't want to say China. In yoga, they say prana. Prana is life, and that's air that you breathe in. That is God. That's filling your body with everything you need. Blow it out. That's the excess that you don't need. So every time you breathe, you're breathing in God. God loves you so much that these things that we take for granted, God does without even people praying for it. So I know, I remind myself all the time, God loves me. You know, biology teaches me that the trees, the leaves, the photosynthesis, photosynthesis, extreme oxygen. God loved me so much that He got the trees and the leaves pooping out for me. I can never give up with that kind of mentality. God loves us. We just
Hey,
got to start paying attention to the love that He gives us so we can be open for more love and better opportunities.
love that. Love that. Thank you, ma'am. When you was talking, it reminded me of the movie Major Payne when he was telling that story about the little old engine who could just chugga 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 choo choo. I just had that picture in my mind, and I see you just continuing to just push and move forward. And I appreciate you for your passion. I appreciate you definitely for your articulation. I love the way you speak. And so we're going to continue to check on you and give you more opportunities to give us an update, not just on you, but also on what's going on around you and the women that you are trying to help and speak for. I know Julius often says a quote, a debt once paid is no longer a debt. And I like to remind you as well, we may have started out wrong, but we can finish this thing off strong. So those of you that have listened to us today and heard Shannon, I want the three people, the community, remember there are those that are still behind those bars, family members, relatives of those who are incarcerated, returning citizens, resources for returning citizens. Get to know what's going on behind those bars, but also help those that are coming on the outside. I again am so grateful for you joining us. Julius, you want to take it home?
Yeah, um, we appreciate Shannon for joining us. Maybe she can be a guest host. When people like myself or Marie or AB is out, so that she can help you with these probing questions because she has a very uh, uh, great attitude and she understands the system. And that's what it takes to understand what we're trying to do here. So hopefully Shannon will be available to sit in some Fridays at 6 o'clock if she can make it, to sit in for us as we are so busy with so many other things that we're doing. But that'll be great for you to get on and to bring that your guy on and interview your guy who motivates you. You know,
That's
so
a very strong, great man. Just
yeah,
so y'all know, I
yeah,
appreciate him.
yeah, he's a wonderful guy, and we want him to come on and share what he's going through with having the process of helping you and doing it. What it's not just a burden sometimes on the person, the returning citizen, but on those that are helping them also. So we're here to try to help alleviate that in any way that we can with the resources, with the information, with everything that we do. So just want you to know that we appreciate you. We're behind you 100%, and anything that we can do to get you up to the next level with any contacts that we have, Julius with his contacts, me with mine there in Atlanta. We're gonna see what we can do for you, and you and I need to talk anyway because we got all kind of stuff that we're talking about doing with the books and with the t-shirts and everything else. So, all right.
All right, Julius, you got Linda. Linda, just want to make sure our audience recognize Linda. She says Shannon. She says thank you, and Tisha Fulton. She also says thank you. These are women who know that you're speaking up on behalf of women, and so they just want you to know that they appreciate your words. Marie was not able to be here with us today, but always shouts out to our co-host Marie Jones. Also, AB busy doing what he's doing in the NC. He's getting things on point. Incarceration to incorporation. He is actually living it. So we are grateful for him as well. Juniors, I'll see you when I see you. Shannon, keep your head up. And to those of you that are watching, we'll see you again, same time next week. Remember, share this with others so that we can have this platform for our returning citizens.
That's correct. Share, share, share so we can get it. Y'all can watch a rebroadcast tomorrow sometime or Sunday. We rebroadcast all our shows. So y'all tune in, watch it, share it, tell a friend about it. We're here every Friday at 6 o'clock. But we also on this platform, we have 1,000 other shows. We got 2 more tonight at 8 o'clock and at 10:30. So y'all tune in. Shannon, thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me.
All right. All right. Good night, y'all.
Good night, y'all.
Good night.